What is up, guys? Super Raccoon Bros, and welcome back to Super Raccoon Anime. I am back, and Chris is back, and we're gonna speak to one of the voice actors for Anzu and Riri from the anime in Netflix called Romantic Killer, and it's from the English dub I watched, and I bitched through it. It took like maybe all night or all day. I don't know, maybe. So yeah, say hello to everyone that you will greet now. So let's greet them now.
Hi.
So yeah,
It was muted. Hi.
yeah, we're dealing with an issue with the echo. So it's we'll have to deal with it for now.
It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just start off with my first question. How did both of you get involved in the English dub of Romantic Killer, and what aspect of working on the show did you find most enjoyable?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got involved because I've actually worked with the director Kathy Pylon quite a bit. We worked on Pokemon Masters, Spriggan, a couple of other shows, and she was telling me she was looking at the show, kind of reviewing it and looking at the characters, and the first person she thought of when she saw Anzu was me. And so thankfully to Kathy, who I love and adore, she brought me on to the project, and very grateful because it's one of my most favorite things that I've done, and I just loved working on all of it. I've been very fortunate to play a whole bunch of different types of characters, so far in my career, but I had yet to play like a lead character, and I always wanted to play a lead, not just to be like, oh, I played a lead, but because when you do, you get to have that that journey with a character. You get to see so many sides of them, and that's what I enjoyed with Anzu, that I got to spend so much time with her and got to see her growth and how she changes and develops throughout those episodes. And she has so many levels to her. She's so unique for a main character. Usually, especially for a female character, usually they're I'm blurring out. But I just love that she's so different, which is, she's not just a quiet, well-behaved girl. She's very loud, and she has so many, again, levels to her. I would literally go from 0 to 100 in one line, not even one scene, one line. It would go here and then bah. So that was really fun to play. And I got to work with people like Courtney, who was just amazing, and getting to have all these scenes with these wonderful actors. I really felt blessed to be able to do that.
Okay. So, like Deneen, I had also worked with Kathy before on Spriggan. I'm also in Pokemon Masters. But Kathy actually helped book me on my first anime role ever, which was a lead in an anime that never got released, which was really heartbreaking for me because it was my first lead role. So when this came around, Riri is really similar to the other character I played on this other anime. So Kathy also thought of me for it, which I am very, very grateful for. And yeah, I mean, this whole series is such a ride. Like Anzu, Riri goes from 0 to 100 real fast. Riri also has the capability of shape-shifting, so I got to play a few different characters in one character, but still kind of find ways to maintain the essence of Riri in whatever form Riri gets to jump into. And I think that was probably my favorite part of being able to be in the series and play a character like Riri. And also I got to work with Deneen, and I got to know Deneen a lot better than before. And I really also love the other actors who were in the show as well. And it was just so fun to be on.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that I really enjoyed the show. It was just I never thought it had such a intense energy of how you perform in your roles. It's really fun how sometimes you, Courtney, just manage to just bring in deep voice persona of you just
Yeah.
acting so serious. It just seems so freaking weird but fun at the same time because they really brings in a different vibe. But sometimes it really fits her character because sometimes she might act as sometimes the big buff character that she plays
Yeah.
in video games, and also understands the cliches that I'm so glad that the anime showed because my God, I cannot deal with those kind of cliches. But then suddenly she speaks to the audience that she cannot deal with the cliches. She already understands the cliches of how she's been through because she just thought people are like video games sometimes of how she might go through this kind of role of
Yeah.
being in a video game in real life called romantic thriller, but she doesn't want to deal with that kind of life of just dealing with romance and whatever she seen in the game. So she wants it to just, become the romantic killer, and not understanding that she's just been living with her three greatest desires. But if she has attached much more on the greatest desires, she might not live through life. Like, she has never met these guys. Maybe she might not have a developed character where she developed into a much more open person. She is experience new things, new food, manages to interact with people,
Mhm.
and manages to hang out with her friends is interesting. And then understanding there was like, you know, background of understanding of how she's like, how I say she's never been alone before. Sometimes people will just like, talk with her, but sometimes she doesn't really interact. She just sometimes like she never met one of her childhood friends because she never got a chance to. Maybe she was a little bit somewhere else, or maybe just busy in her own mind. I don't know. But all I know is that maybe during the time in video games, she never acknowledged that well, Tunto, I think that was the name was. Yeah, yeah. When
Yeah.
he was like involved with this romantic thriller, part of the guys who will might get with Anzu. Well, it's interesting is that we learned that that guy who's just a little kid with some bushy hair, we can barely see his eyes, and it's insane that he's changed this much. It's just that
Mhm.
sometimes people will make a change in how would they feel, and then once the series progresses, it's just really insane of how it really switches the tone of understanding someone else's backstory of why they've been this way, of understanding the personality. It was not cliche. It was understanding there was backstory. Yeah. And then how you
Yeah.
performed of how you care for this person is insane. And also Riri is fun too, of how you just switch from, to a chippy girl to a man, a real boy. Yeah,
Man,
it's
I
really
can
fun
tell you
to
every time
just
that
think of his
happened.
performances, and I really enjoy them. And I wish I could say a lot more, but I want to get your time to share. And yeah. So anyway, what are your quick thoughts on their performance, Chris?
Oh yeah, it was great to hear both you guys, especially even if I hadn't already talked to you both, but even like what he was saying, the visible changes on the face was really funny to me every time that came up.
Yeah. It was fun. We were cracking up in the booth.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Every time I came in, I was like laughing my butt off.
It was like, and like we were saying, I think both characters are similar, like performance wise, and by that I mean like their energy level and like going all over the place, which is really hard. I have to
Yeah.
like convey that it is not easy to do because it's not like you get time to really prep and like be prepared. You have to do it, and so it was like you get a preview and then you do it, and you have to just be ready to like just go from here to here, change your voice, change where their attitude and stuff is, but having the faces there helped because
Yeah.
I'm sure you understand what I mean by that, Courtney, because it's like I just watch the face and I'd be like, okay, I get it, that makes it easy, I see where she is now because she's like or her faces were hilarious, both of their faces were hilarious.
Yeah.
Hard.
I
Sometimes
sweat a
you
lot
have to-
while I was recording.
Oh yeah. That was a workout.
Yeah.
Yeah. And depending on, like, in the studio that we recorded in, we would kind of switch which room we were in. So I don't know, Courtney, if you had to record in a smaller
Yep.
booth.
The
Yes.
coffin. Yep.
Yes. So sometimes we got to record, like, in a space that had a little bit more room. very nice, very cool. But towards the end, we were recording in, it's like basically a coffin. It's just like very small, and I was just like sweating.
Yeah.
Oh, it was intense for sure. Yeah.
All right. Chris, you have a question. You have a question in your notes?
Yeah. So the second question is among all the scenes and episodes in the show, which is your guys' personal favorite? I'm sure there's probably more than one, but
You can go. This time, your turn.
I think my one of my favorite episodes was the episode where like there's the stalker girl and like she's finally caught, and Riri has this one moment. You never see Riri do this again, but Riri has this one moment where they just appear like in her little cell and they become super creepy all of a sudden. They're like, hi, I've heard you, like, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember what the lines were, but like, it was just really fun to explore that side of Riri because I was like, oh, Riri's terrifying, but we hadn't seen Riri be terrifying before. So that was really fun, just to kind of explore that a little bit.
Yeah, of how you performed that, it sounds like you. It sounded like you actually got to kill her. Like, oh my god, did you kill her?
I'm like, is this the same anime? Like, is this a different show? Like, is this a murder show now?
No. She did a Men in Black neuralizer.
Yeah.
What about you, Courtney?
or Deneen, you mean?
Oh, Deneen. No.
Oh, Deneen.
I just want to say, like, yeah,
I read the right thing.
I have to agree, like, though, like, and I think a lot of people felt this way just as a general, like, just want to put this out there. The show changed. Like, it went from being, like, which is great. It's one of the things I loved about it. It was just, like, all of a sudden it got really serious, and I was like, oh, wow. I did not expect this, but as a performer, again, I really appreciated getting to have like that journey with the characters. For me, as I kind of mentioned earlier, and I loved so much about this show. I loved getting to play like comedy because I don't get to do that often, and I love doing comedy. But my favorite scene, I've actually posted the clip on like my socials, is the scene where she kind of confronts Kazuki's father, because I could really feel that scene. As somebody who has had complications with their own parents, I could feel what Kazuki was probably feeling, and what you would expect a father, how they would react to their own child, like going through all of this trauma, and I felt it. I could really feel it. And so like that scene in particular just really hit home for me, and it meant a lot to be able to that moment to tell this character that, hey, you're kind of being a jerk. That's your child, and you weren't there for them, but I am. So I'm going to go and be a good friend to this person, and you sit and think about what a bad father you are. Yeah, I just really loved like those moments where you could actually see who Anzu really is. You got to actually see that she has integrity and she has compassion, and I love that. So that was probably my most favorite scene. But again, there were so many things about the show in general that just made it very special that it's hard to really pick one. But if I had to, it'd be that scene.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that scene of, and sometimes I hate and love that scene because, I'm dealing with the controversy and how I feel, because sometimes I deal with the hate of, dealing with the lines of hearing the father say, oh, how it's all his fault. And he has to apologize for something that he never intended to do. All he did is do one night stand, and then he had a stalker, and then he's being blamed for something he didn't intentionally do.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Where's your head at? Like, where is
see,
his mind at? Like, he literally lost his mind, and he can't freaking find it because he doesn't know where to look. What's going on?
Yep. It's very relatable, because if you're somebody who has gone through something like that, through whether you're male, female, non-binary, whatever. So many people have experienced stuff just like what Kazuki experienced, and they get blamed for it. And even their own friends and family will blame them for it. And it's wild. Like, when we see it, it's wild to think that would happen, but it does. And sometimes you just got to put people in their place,
Yeah.
And I like that. I was like, take that.
So it was like you wanted to punch that guy.
I did. I was feeling it. I was like, Even more, I wanted to punch him more than sometimes I wanted to go at Riri, because I loved Riri, but there were times where I'm like, leave her alone. Leave Anzu alone.
All right, let's see. Let me ask the third question. Three. If Romantic Killer were transformed into a musical series, Rogers the Musical, which characters do you think would have the most incredible duet together?
I mean, maybe I'm biased, but like Anzu and Riri.
Yes!
Because think about it, there would be singing, obviously. The dancing would be amazing. Also, both Deneen and I are dancers in real life too.
Yes.
And our fighting scenes, but like in musical form? Come on.
Yeah.
That's entertaining.
Yes.
That would be so good.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, definitely. I mean, as fun as all the other characters are, it would definitely be Riri and Anzu. They would have it. It would be chaos. I can imagine it on stage. It would be so chaotic
The
and
chaos, yeah.
colorful, and the whole arguing, singing thing,
and
great.
the wand. I feel like we'd be chasing each other trying to get to the wand.
There's no question. They would have the best. It would be the Anzu and Riri show, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. That's my answer.
Yeah. That's it. That would be an insane duet between those two characters. Maybe if they don't want to be embarrassed, maybe they might use an illusion spell, so nobody could know. But maybe they might see Anzu as default, what is she doing? That'd be so weird.
Singing to herself, she's crazy.
I do have to say, the alternate to that, as if it wasn't Anzu and Riri, would probably be Anzu and Momohiki singing to her cat.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and then I can just imagine somebody coming on stage and then, the big muscly cat, and then, that moment where she has the dream and it's Momohiki is oh.
Yeah.
I love that. It was
Yeah,
so
I was expecting, one of the guys maybe, but no, it was just a cat.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, I love the guys, but this is all about Anzu and Riri. They're the stars.
Literally. Yeah, imagine they go and perform on Rogers the Musical. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Your turn, Chris. I'm not purring or anything.
The first part of this one I can phrase differently. If there were any moments for either of you guys that were vocally stressful to go through.
The whole show.
All of it? Yeah.
Yeah, literally the whole show.
Literally.
Yeah, well, especially because both of us, we'd be in our highest registers, and then all of a sudden our lowest registers in the blink of an eye, and all of our fight scenes, all of the screaming. There was so much screaming, which is why I sweat so much.
So much screaming. I would say, for Anzu at least, I mean, most of it would be screaming. And sometimes we would have to, because we would be recording so much, we would save some of the screaming stuff for last. We would go back and do it because it would be so intense. And how
many times did you kick Riri out a window?
I know. I know. It was just a lot. They really, or punched her, and all of that, punching Riri, kicking Riri. Poor thing. It kind of deserved it, but yeah. And it's just vocally, like Courtney said, it's vocally stressful because we would, when I say in a line, I mean literally a line. It's not like you go from one line to another, but in the same line, you would go from having a very bright sounding, sound, and then all of a sudden it goes either really deep or really animalistic is what I always said. It's very you know, in the same line, and that's hard, and we would have to do that like through the whole session. Yeah, it's definitely. It was vocally stressful. Thankfully, everybody took good care of us. Like Kathy made sure we had breaks. I always had Honey and Nimjom with me because, yeah, I needed that.
What's Ninjom?
How would you describe it, Courtney?
It's a loquat syrup.
Yeah.
It's good for keeping your vocal cords lubricated, so that they don't like get injured while you're screaming.
Yeah, it's like the consistency of syrup. So, yes, you can put it like in your tea, hot water. Some of us are weird and we eat it.
Just drink it straight out the bottle.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, but oh well. We do it anyway.
Are you drinking it right now, Courtney? Are you drinking Ninjom right now?
No, I just save that for sessions.
Okay. Wow.
The second part was if you had the chance to meet your characters, what piece of advice would you give either of them?
Oh boy.
That's hard. I mean, I feel like the advice that I would give is the advice that Anzu kind of learns, which is, you know, she's so wrapped up in her own little world that she doesn't see that there's so much more to that, and that it's important to be able to see that the people in your life and who surround you may be struggling. There's so much more to them, and that you may be missing out if you don't just like open up a little bit and, you know, give space for others. So I mean, and that's what happens with Anzu, which is why I think it's such a good show and has like such a good message. Because as much as I love and relate to Anzu, because I would be devastated as somebody who loves video games, cats, and chocolate themselves. So many of us do. Very relatable. There is so much more, and I see it a lot in just people in general, especially nowadays with social media. People tend to hyperfixate. You know, I see it in even like, especially here in LA, people hyper focus on like their career and, you know, and stuff like that. That then they don't allow themselves to see that there's so much more out there. And by opening yourselves up and being able to allow other things in your lives, that's going to help you grow and help you in other, you know, it'll help you in your career. It'll help you as a person. And yeah, that would be my advice to her. And thankfully, Riri kind of helps her with that.
Yeah, but similarly, I mean, Riri is kind of a hypocrite because Riri is doing the same thing, but Riri is so focused on work and making money that Riri doesn't realize like the negative impact that they have on people like Anzu, you know, because there probably were other ways that Riri could have motivated Anzu besides taking away Anzu's 3 greatest loves, you know? And it was all about making this work no matter how much pain, you know, Riri was causing. And then Riri comes to realize like, oh, like I actually care about this person and there's more to life than just making money and working. Like now, you know, like Riri ends up sacrificing their career, you know, for friendship, because Riri realizes that, you know, there can be more to life besides, you know. So it's really, really similar, just like 2 sides of the same coin.
Yeah. They go through the same journey. You're absolutely right. Yeah. It's just different. You know, they learn in different ways, but it's the same. They learn the same lesson.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Which is a good one.
Yeah.
I like this music, by the way.
Yes.
Seems like he stepped away for something, but the next question was
Yeah, that was my choice. Thank you very much. I had to go take care of something. All right, let's see. Next question. As an adult, is it challenging to voice a teenage character?
That's what that is. Yeah, number 5.
Oh. Okay.
What was that?
That was the one I just asked.
Oh, you did. Oh, I didn't. Well, it didn't show up.
I do. I think, like, though, just to answer that part real quick, because I do know people get curious about that. Voicing a teenager is not difficult. I think I can't speak for Courtney, but I'm just going to assume we have very young sounding voices.
Yeah. I like most of my bread and butter is made doing teenagers.
Same. It's all teenagers and kids. Every once in a while, I might get like a young adult. but like that's what I play, and I think a lot of it is also like our energy, and like it's just
Yeah.
an energy. So it's actually easier for me to play a teenager than it is an adult character. Like those
Same.
are actually harder for me. I can't like relate to them.
Yeah. And like, can you sound older? I'm like, older? Like
I know. I'm like, I don't know how to do. Well, and I don't know if this has happened to you, Courtney, but I've actually had. I like worked on an audio drama where they cast me as a character, and they're like, just play, play yourself, play, she's like this age, and just
Yeah.
be you. And I would do it, and they would be like, oh no, just do your normal, like sound like you. And I'm like, that is me.
Yeah,
They're like, well, you
that's
sound too
literally
young.
yeah.
And they're like, well, can you age her up? And then I try to age her up, and they're like, it still sounds too young. Because
Yeah.
people have
They have an idea of what
Yeah.
20 is supposed to sound like what
Yeah.
30 is supposed to sound like, what 40 is
Yeah.
supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
But like you people like Kristen Chenoweth, who has sounded like a teenager her whole life,
Whole life.
and she's, I don't know how old she is, but she's a little bit up there now.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not difficult at all. It's actually
Yeah.
much easier. So I just wanted to answer that because I do know people get curious. I've had
Yeah.
people ask me that,
All right, let's see the next question. If your character from a romantic killer suddenly entered the real world, what do you think would be the first thing they would do if they were real?
Oh, if they were with us? Oh. I mean, I don't know. Me and Anzu would probably just, like, play video games.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I've seen like the 200th episode of Teen Titans Go a while ago, and they did kind of like animated the part where the Teen Titans meet their voice actors, so I kind of already
yeah.
see it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if she was to enter this world, I mean, yeah, I think we would just play video games and stuff. She'd probably be like, or we'd go to an arcade. There's a really good one in Burbank, so we'd probably do something like that. She'd probably want to get away from Riri and all of that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I know if Riri came and they would probably do to me what they did to Anzu. I'd like to think I'm more well adjusted, but Riri, they definitely have that. This is what everybody needs, including you. So, yeah.
I would want to see what else Riri can do with that wand. Like if some magical being came and they had a wand, I'd be like, all right, let's go have some fun.
It'd be like,
But its
Let's
only
go find
weakness
Deneen.
is just
I hear she's like on
oh,
too.
I knew it. Yeah, you guys would find us. That would be it. We'd probably be like trying to hide and run from you, from both of you. Yeah, it would be just like the anime, but in our timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it'll be very interesting. They might come into the real world and like they just popped out of nowhere. Wait a minute. There's no way you're real. Oh my
I think it'd be
god.
like that Spider-Man meme. Me and Anzu would be like pointing at. We'd all be
Yep.
pointing at each other.
Yeah, and also it's kind of like with a what was his name? Roger Rabbit situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be very interesting. Let's do like a crossover thing of this idea of like mentioning one of Anzo's greatest desires, that's chocolates, and imagine she just sits down on a chair, like a bus stop for a bench, or maybe in the middle of the park, and then you see this guy with such odd and clothes, and you might know this guy maybe, and he goes like this. You know what? My mom says about a box of chocolates. Like life is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're gonna get, and Anzu would be like,
She's like, I don't care. I'm eating all of it.
She would be
I'm getting all of
confused.
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
She'd be like confused, but only focus on the chocolate.
She would probably ignore him. Yeah.
Life is like a box of chocolates. I think chocolate is my life. Imagine. All right,
Exactly.
let's see. Let me see something real quick. Okay, Chris, your turn.
I know you guys have talked about it a little bit already, but which aspects of them do you relate the most to, and what do you like about them?
Courtney, you can go. I'll let you take this one first.
I really love like Riri's optimistic spirit. I think that's what I love most about Riri, where, you know, there's like a problem, Riri's like, no worries, like, we're gonna try this, and like, not a lot can really get Riri down because Riri's a problem solver. Maybe doesn't always choose the best methods to solve the problems, but Riri will still go for it. And you know, even with Anzu, like, when Riri becomes a boy for Anzu to date. You know, it's like, you know, Riri will try any and every method to try and open Anzu up. And I think that's a really sweet quality.
It's very sweet. Yeah, and for Anzu again, like I think she's a very relatable character anyway, which is what makes her so great. Like one of the comments I get all the time is how people relate to her. Like they'll tweet to me and be like, "Oh, I relate to, you know, Anzu and stuff," because she is. She's such a relatable character. She's so real. I mean, we all have those hyperfixations and things that we really love, and I totally get that because you know, I have the exact same things as her. Like, I don't get to play video games as much as I used to because, you know, it's so busy. You know, life is just so busy. But I you know, especially when I was Anzu's age, I was always playing, like, JRPGs, like, constantly. That would take up all my time. I love chocolate, cats. I love my cats. So I really relate to that aspect of her of, like, just having these things that I love so much. And but the one quality I think that I really connected with is just how, you know, she fights for her friends. She's there for her friends. I very much care about the people in my life, and sometimes it's really hard to show up and be there for them, you know, because again, life gets busy and stuff. But like if somebody's messing with my friends, they're gonna hear from me about it because I can't put up with that. And I love how she just is there and she shows up for these people who come into her life, and she's there, whether it's sticking up for them. Even Riri. I mean, like, Anzu becomes very much like she understands and cares for Riri. And I love that about her character, and I could really connect with that, and it felt really good. It felt really good to see that in her going from this to that.
Yeah, it really intertwines of how these characters feel. Even though they have their ups and downs, they really care for each other, how they progress their relationships and how they progress through. Yeah, it just really bring a relationship of how they build to each other. Sometimes it might get annoying, but it just shows that you really get used to it and how you really, you know, really develop and how you really care for this person, especially to a magical wizard that might be a little bit hypocrite, but really understands better of how it really changes everything. Like you really understand the layers of what's happening because you thought, you know, this wizard is just some crazy devil and suddenly just like mind controls things, but no, he's just only kind of controls the fate of how it's progressed through, just let them help develop their own ways. You know, it's really interesting how this progresses through the series, and then understanding of how the character really helped out bringing much more relationships to other people. Riri, yeah, it's amazing. And then Riri really developed feelings as well, and never thought we'd seen in a wizard. She doesn't really express it, but sometimes she just can't. But sometimes she doesn't express it, but it doesn't mean she can't feel it. It's just really what we understand of sometimes you need to understand how the character feels instead of what they mostly express sometimes. Yeah. All right. Let's see the next question. What are your general thoughts on the romantic killer anime, excluding your own characters?
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's
funny.
hilarious.
All the scenes are funny.
Yeah.
It's funny, it's heartfelt. I don't know, it's a good time.
Yeah, it has everything in it. You know what I mean? Like, and actually, it's an anime that I recommend to people who aren't even into anime. Because it's a good length, you know, you don't have to invest a whole bunch of time. And I have friends who just really, they're not into anime, but they watched it and they loved it. And because a lot of it is that it is so entertaining and it's relatable. Great characters. I think the characters are great because, as you were kind of mentioning earlier, that some of them follow like these tropes.
Yeah.
But then you learn that they're not. There's actually more to them than what you might see on the outside, and I think that's very true of people. You might see somebody and judge them right away, or think, "Oh, that's what that person is." But then when you get to know them, you see what they've been through, or you see that there's so much more to their lives, and it kind of is like, "Oh, well, now it makes sense why that person is this way." Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Courtney?
I gave my thoughts at the beginning. Yeah.
That is very heartfelt, and it's like, there's a lot of good stuff there. I mean, I feel like a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about the whole time rings very true with how we feel about the show and how that's why it's such a good show. You know, there's just so much to it.
Yeah. Sorry, I was asking you, Courtney, because I was busy, thinking what I think about the series as well. Because it really is fun. It really is energetic, and sometimes the humor is just so fun. Sometimes you get a little bit edgy sometimes. But it really is a fun, entertaining show in Netflix. It really brings in such a different trope of, I thought, well, so far I was really enjoying the show, but then suddenly it brings in another male character. I was like, what? And I never thought they'd actually do it. Maybe the intro might have spoiled that for me. Like, what is going on? Yeah, so anyway, as long as the series progresses, it really develops some of the characters and understanding them. And also, the Junto, I think that's his name. Those guys, he really is an interesting character. Sometimes he just really develops on how he's feeling for Anzu, but he just wants her to be happy, even if he doesn't end up with her. I really care for this guy, and not sure how there might be a potential season 2, but I really enjoy that character. Also, what I noticed in the stuff is that I know that kind of voice actor, not really knowing it, but I know him before. So I really enjoy the voice actors, Alex Lee, and I really enjoy his performance, how he performed through the series. Yeah. All right, let's check out the next question.
I don't know if everybody else can hear this music and you guys are watching on YouTube, but this music is a vibe.
Boppin'.
Yeah, thanks to one of my associates. That is my friends. All right, your turn, Chris. Again.
So apart from the characters you guys play, do you have other favorite characters in the show, and who do you think that you would be friends with in real life?
I'm just gonna jump on this with my incredible bias again and say obviously be Anzu, because I also love cats and chocolate and video games, and literally every night before bed I play a video game, I eat some chocolate, and I hang out with my cat. So it's just a no-brainer for me.
Aw, well, I love Riri. Like I said, I would always have a comment about Riri when I was recording, whether it was good or bad. There would be times where literally I would get annoyed with Riri. and Kathy, we would be like, welcome. Oh gosh, no, it's great. It's great but then at the same time, like just a few moments later, I would go, oh. They're so cute, and so like, you know what I mean? And I love when a character can make you feel that way. But I also really love, we were just talking about him, Junta. Junta, I adore. He's just such a sweetheart. And like, I would keep telling Kathy, I was like, I love Junta. I love Junta. He's so sweet. Like the whole time. Just because I think he's so sweet. And out of I don't want to spoil too much in case anybody hasn't seen the show, but out of the 3, love interest. Actually, there's 4 because I do count. I count this one over here. I feel like Junta's the one who actually cares for and appreciates Anzu as she is and doesn't expect her to be something else. And you know, I think that's really important when somebody can see who you are and appreciate and care for you and not expect you to dress a certain way, act a certain way. And I thought that was really sweet and refreshing. So I do love Junta a lot. Yeah. Oh, and best friends. Who could we be? So you said Anzu. I guess I would be best friends with... Man, can I pick my character?
Yeah, pick Anzu. Like, it just makes the most sense.
It would be Anzu.
Just
again.
do it.
Like, yeah. It would be Anzu. We're, you know, I understand Anzu. So yeah.
I'm like, the more we talk, the more I'm like, Deneen, we gotta hang out.
I know. Just so, and then that's the thing too. Courtney and I like have done all of this, and like we recorded without ever seeing each other. That's just how it works.
We've never went live.
Yeah, and so it was like, but I knew who Courtney was, so like it was great to be able to have that opportunity to bring these characters to life. And for most of it, I felt like I was very fortunate because you were able to record all of your lines first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was able to go in and always react to you, and it was so great. You did such an amazing job.
You did such an amazing job.
No, it gave me so much to work with. I was like, oh, excellent. It was just like, I loved it. Yeah, we'll hang. We're gonna hang out.
We will.
Oh, well, that would be the most interesting dynamic between the real life voice actors for Anzu and Riri. Imagine. All right, let's see.
Yeah,
next
I don't
question.
think I would be kicking you out of any windows.
All right, if you could create a story arc for your character in Romantic Killer, what would it be centered around?
Anzu helping Riri find love.
Oh yeah, that would be sweet.
Yeah, just turn the tables. You know, Anzu gets a hold of the wand, learns how to use it. There you go.
Yeah. I think, kind of like having Anzu help Riri or even help like her friends, because there's there's this thing with her parents. I don't want to spoil anything, but if anybody was really paying attention towards the end, there's something going on with her parents. So I'm hoping that if there is ever a season 2, they go into that, because I think that particular storyline where that might be leading to would be very important for Anzu to have to deal with and be there for, you know, and she's already kind of doing this. She's starting to be there for other people in her life, but I think that would be a really interesting story arc to deal with. And I don't want to spoil, but if you watched it, you probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see the next question.
Question 10.
I tried to pause for a dramatic effect.
Dun dun dun.
Lots of drama in this room.
All right. Question 10. Which song do you believe suits your character the most in Romantic Killer?
Oh man, this was the one that I was like, I don't know.
Okay, I picked a random one for Riri. For some reason, I immediately thought of Work by Rihanna because Riri's obsessed with working. So I can just see Riri like trying to make money. And also like there's something so like Work is such a like romantically charged song. So like I feel like also like the money aspect and also Riri trying to make people fall in love. Like I feel like the song would go on, Riri would be like, yeah. And like Anzu would be like, stop, turn it off.
Yeah. I would love to hear a cover of Riri doing Work. That would be great. I mean, yeah, that would be great. For Anzu, I have no idea. I feel like whatever. It would probably be something very angsty and very like, leave me alone.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, very like early 2000s, like maybe Simple Plan.
Yes,
like,
something like that.
Welcome to my life. Something emo.
Yes. Yes, I just feel like, it would have to be something like that. And it depends, because again, these characters go through so much. There's so many, it depends on which part of the story and which part, you know, that you would pick the song. Which is why it was hard for me, because it's like, man, I feel like there's so many that would kind of suit Anzu.
Mhm.
Or it could be like this. What's playing right now? Super Mario Brothers.
I was
Video
thinking about that the
games.
same.
Power up! You know, because she likes video games. Or maybe something from Cats, the musical. I very unironically,
Wow.
I mean that. Yes, I do. I mean it. Because I very much love Cats. Maybe not the film, although I did like the film, like in a weird way. It's such a fever dream. But Cats is one of my favorite musicals, and I think a lot of it, people make fun of me for that, but a lot of it is because I love the dancing and the choreography and the songs are great. I think Anzu would love it. I could see Anzu
Yes.
freaking singing that. That would,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Cats.
Yeah, Cats.
Yes.
I really hope you talk about maybe like somewhere in the somewhere that's like in the past, not the one in the modern, like 2019.
Yeah, it would be the original Cats, not
Yeah,
the.
Just stay with the
Not the-
musical.
Yeah, not the new one, not the movie. Although again,
Yeah.
I like the movie. I was like one of those who saw it twice in theaters. and I was
Did you
like,
see
Wow.
the version with and without the butts?
Yes, there is the butthole version.
The butthole
Which I
version
did
and the
not-
non-butthole
Oh
version.
my god.
There's
Which
two.
you know what, Cats? That's what Cats. You see them on Cats.
Yeah.
It's very realistic.
Just anatomy.
Just skip as a musical, not as a movie, please.
Yes, but I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like Anzu would appreciate it. She'd be like, I love this movie because it's cats. Creepy
Alright,
humanoid cats, but cats nonetheless.
All right, we got one question in the chat. Let's see. What are your thoughts on the dynamic rivalry between Riri and Anzu?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's like the heart and soul of the whole
The series,
show.
yeah.
I think it's, there's these other relationships with these characters, but at the heart of it, I think the main relationship is between Anzu and Riri. And kind of like what Courtney says, Riri is kind of learning just as much as Anzu is. And so, like, their relationship to me is so important to the show and where it went and where it's potentially going.
Mm-hmm. Same.
See, we know. We know.
Yeah, I just think of it as chaotic fun.
Yeah, it is chaotic.
All right, let's see. Hey, Chris, what do you think about it?
About what?
Their dynamic of Riri and Anzu.
Oh yeah, it's really fun. I also think that the male form of Riri was interesting, and how you performed that as well, Courtney. If that was like, I'm sure it was pretty like easy for you to slip into a boy voice.
Yeah, I do boy voices a lot, and it was just fun to like almost tease Anzu. You know, all of a sudden Riri's a boy, and then Riri's flirting and holding her hand, and just all of her reactions to the romance that Riri was giving her was just all gold.
That whole scene where they go like on their date,
Yeah.
I was cracking up the whole time. I was just like, oh gosh, this is so silly, but like great. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Oh well. And then the ending, we'll see how this quest will go on. In
Yeah.
the next episode of Romantic Killer Z.
To be continued.
Alright, I think let's see one more chat question. And then we'll get into one last fan question. Alright. People get into roles and may affect a character, but have you ever had a time where a character affected you? Example, if a character likes reading books and you ended up reading more often than usual.
So,
Interesting question.
could it be for any? Is it just for this show,
I
or
think
could
it's
it
for
be
any
for any
character.
show?
Yeah, where a character is talk about a character, yeah.
I can say how a character had a negative impact on me and made me feel a certain way, and that would be Pandora from ReZero. And if anybody has seen it, it was because, like, going into it, I knew that she is not the nicest character, but she does some terrible things. And I was feeling, like, afterwards, I was feeling very, like, almost sick to my stomach because I was just like, I actually had to hold back some tears and stuff because I could not believe that this character was doing these things, and I felt for the characters on screen. And so even afterwards, for like the rest of that day, I had to kind of take a mental day and just kind of like chill, because that's how it affected me mentally and just like emotionally. And it was that character and what that character does. It's something that will always stick with me because I've had characters affect me or make me feel certain things, but that was so intense. And I love her. I love Pandora. I love playing Pandora because of how different she is, than a lot of characters that I play. And I love playing villains. Villains are fun, but she's such a bone-chilling villain. And again, I was like, I did not expect for what happened to happen, and it just kind of put me in a place where I'm like, nah, I'm going to sit down and do nothing today. I'm going to watch The Lord of the Rings. That'll put me in a better mood.
What about you, Courtney?
I would also like lean towards, the villain roles, only because like the ones where you really get to dive deep into the backstory and like the idea where like no one is ever truly a villain. Like villains don't view themselves as villains, right? That's like the classic, when you're an actor, that's like the first thing you learn about villains. I voiced Elaine in Dislight, and she has this whole vendetta against her sister, and she ends up stabbing her sister, and it's like a really intense backstory that they have, but they really go into her her childhood, and like you learn like why she is the way she is, why she feels the way she feels. And then when you're acting in these roles, you get so into it, like you really can't help but actually feel those emotions that the character feels. As an actor, I feel like actors are all empaths, right? We're able to take emotions, and when we're performing it, we feel those emotions. So you might be screaming one line, and you're not trying to scream, it's just coming out that way because the emotion's there. Or all of a sudden you start crying, without meaning to, but you're just so into the character, and you really learn I should say, back to the question, like it really affects you because you can leave a session, with all of those emotions inside and all of that pain, and it's both painful and beautiful at the same time. And I feel like you really get to learn and know these characters on a three-dimensional level, and I feel like that feeling really stays with you.
All right. Wow. Oh, wow.
Romantic Killer did make me want to eat more chocolate, though. After every session, I was like craving chocolate.
Hang out with cats.
Yeah, cats, but chocolate. But you know what else I would crave watching Romantic Killer? Because there's that whole how they censor a certain thing.
Oh yeah, the cake.
I'm like, I know what's behind the cake, and that's actually the reactions, by the way, to the roach is exactly how I act to them. I love all animals and insects. I'm one of those weirdos who's like, I'm not gonna kill a spider, but I act like that. So those were genuine reactions. But I would see the cake, and I would be like, oh, that looks good. Now I want a strawberry cake. Like that would happen, and then I would go and try to find one somewhere because I got hungry.
Oh well. Yeah, sometimes in shows I really relate to this character, and sometimes they might bring in a big impact, especially to other people, especially. Yeah. All right, Chris, I think you can take on this one. The last question.
So I guess you guys probably already talked about it, but if there's anything that you could think of still about one characteristic that you guys have in common with both characters.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of have talked about it already. We mentioned it. It would definitely be like how she really, even though you don't see it right away and it's not addressed, how she actually does care for people. Because you do see in the past, especially with like her best friend and stuff, she's there for them and everything. And she wants people to be treated fairly and be treated, right. And yeah. So it would be that, and also probably just everything about Anzu is me and Anzu very much in the same mind. So yeah.
like a psychic connection.
I know, but I feel like so many people feel that way because she really is a relatable character. Like, she's so real. Those, like, yeah.
For me, I really like Riri's like never-ending determination and like willingness to problem solve. I really identified with that, and like not always getting it right, like problem solving and then failing, but then just getting back up again and trying it again in a different way and seeing if that works.
Yeah, they never gave up.
No,
they never gave up. I love that.
Well, I think that's everything. Oh yeah, the cake is the most delicious.
Isn't it? I was like, I know what's supposed to be under there, but that cake looks so good. Oh, it makes me hungry.
Man. Oh man.
Yes.
So we're on like 3 minutes left, do we? So what can we do in these 3 minutes? Not sure.
I just want to say thank you for having us, and thank you to everybody who joined and everybody who is going to be watching.
Yeah, and for your questions, your really thoughtful questions.
Yeah, because it really is such a special show, and it really is. And I know there's a lot of talk about, and people ask me all the time, is there going to be a season 2? I cannot tell you because we have no idea.
Yeah.
And we were kind of talking about it earlier that, this works a little bit different than some others because it is a Netflix original. So who knows? It might be dropped on all of us. It may not. Sometime it might be like 2 years down the line. Who knows if we have no idea. So
yeah, but definitely, like you can tweet Netflix,
yes.
Hashtag romantic killer. That kind of stuff gets seen by these big companies. So if you love the show, let them know.
Yes, it did do very well for like an original and something that people hadn't really heard of.
Yeah.
It did very well. I was very happy with the response to it. Because I didn't think anybody would really know about it or watch it, and like not because of anything except for like nobody knows Romantic Killer. So I loved the response, and yeah, just like Courtney said, tweet it out, write to them, let them know you want to see a season 2 because that helps.
Yeah.
So this experience of meeting with you and understanding the different perspective of what we think about the show, and especially with you guys, it's just very amazing. It's just how I've been through and how I managed to meet with you guys, and really experiencing different types of media is just amazing. And meeting you is just a treat.
Meeting you guys is a treat.
Yeah, and I really hope this is not the last time because I do not want this to fade away.
We'll be back for season 2.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe in the future we might talk again, or what other roles that you might be in for, and we might talk about that. But maybe when I have the time to check them out, maybe we'll have another interview in the future. Maybe. It's a theory, a game theory. All right. I'm so glad to have you all here. And Chris, welcome back. And I'm glad that you were back here. And I just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining. And everyone, please support the channel of SuperRacoonAnime. It's just a little bit small, but I'll try to get it as big as I can. But so far, this is just what I need to do, is something different other than just my main channel. And also support to the voice actors as well. Maybe you might encourage them to keep on going on as voice actors and really perform as different people, but really bring in the emotion and energy they like to bring in. And Chris, keep going with your interviews. They really are enjoyable because they're really intriguing, and how you really bring in the questions, how you just really are just a amazing person as well, even if you don't show it.
Chris, you are
but I do see through you.
Thank you.
all right, everybody. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time for the next interview. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.